What's going on, everyone? It's the Niskel.
Resident Evil.
It's time to do the battle game in Resident Evil Code Veronica X. You unlock this special mode by completing the game once, so no matter how bad you do, you at least get to play the battle game. In total, there are 5 characters, but you start out with 2, 3, depending on what you did during your normal gameplay. You get Claire, an alternate version of her, Chris, Steve, and Wesker. All varying types of difficulty. To unlock alternate Claire, you need to beat Battle Game as Claire, so I went ahead and played a few rounds just to unlock everybody. If you play as Chris and you beat it with an A rank, you unlock Wesker, so it's not that difficult, trust me. And Steve, if you played the drawer puzzle during the regular playthrough when you first started as Chris, if you have that gold Luger that you get from it in your inventory, at the end of the game, you unlock Steve. So here's something cool. We can play the entire battle game in either third person or first person. Let's give first person a shot. Now, as you'll notice right here, the very beginning, every character has a different loadout of weapons, items they can use for healing, everything like that. And I would say the 2 Claires, those are easy mode. Steve, I guess I can say, is basically hard mode because his weapons aren't that good. Chris is about a medium, but I would say he's probably the easiest one to get an A rank with. And Wesker is completely fucking impossible. And we'll get to that when we actually get there. But, hey look! First person mode! Before Resident Evil 7 did it! This is actually a really cool feature that they added to this. And I gotta say, the game actually runs a lot smoother when you're in first person, and if you can tell, and I don't know how much people can tell, I've been playing this game for a while, but you actually hold up your weapon faster than you would normally in third person. So there's one advantage to first person. The other one is you can actually see everything that's in front of you. That is probably one of the best advantages. Now, I will say the third person camera did help with kind of eyeing the enemies in the certain room. You have the different camera angles, and that can kind of screw you over. But first person, for example, right there, turned completely to the left, didn't see the guy until he was right in front of me. So third person has its advantages, first person has its advantages. Wow, he was really close. But I gotta say, first person doesn't exactly work as advertised, and that actually makes it a lot more fun. I will say, being able to just immediately, snap my weapon up to my side and start firing, that's awesome. Another thing is actually the aiming. The aiming actually works the same way it does in third person, where you have the 3 different directions. But in first person, you actually have the advantage of being able to gauge when you are shooting. And by that I mean, as you're moving from, let's say, from up to middle to down, you can actually shoot in between those transitions, and you can actually get some more shots. So the hunters, for example, if they're getting really close up to you, instead of shooting straight normally, you can just, shoot partially down. Like there. Right there was an example of me shooting at a diagonal. So, cool. First person mode, you got something good going for you. You can see everything. And honestly, that's about all the praise I can give first person. You still have to deal with tank controls. That's one thing that isn't going away. And this might be really different for people who are used to playing Resident Evil at a side camera angle and just third person in general. But I would say give this one a shot. It also doesn't help that all of these maps, even if they are dark or if they have fog or anything there, you can't see it very well in first person, which is why the camera angles... Which is why the camera angles are also an advantage. But yeah, as far as your first jump into first person, I guess, Capcom, not a bad idea. Let's just say I can't wait to play Resident Evil 7, because that seems to be working wonderfully. Let me talk a little bit about the battle game, because this is entirely new. You don't have a set time limit. They're seeing how fast you can beat battle mode, where you have a grand total of 19 rooms, and I'm showing you the path in first person. We'll go third person just so you can see where you are in relation to the rooms and doors, because almost every single door in every room is locked. Only one door will let you advance, and I'll be showing you the pathway that you need to go. And battle mode has one offshoot that you can go in. There's a grand total of 19 rooms, 18 are required to finish it, and each battle mode game ends with a boss. Now, every room has a small item, whether it be sometimes ammunition, sometimes healing items, a lot of the times first aid sprays, which is very helpful depending on who you're playing with. But this room in particular, these two doors here, the silver one, leads to Alfred's casino. If you go in there, and I won't be going in there just for the sake of speed, but every character gets a special item and just a little bonus for exploring. If you go in there as Claire, you get submachine guns with limited ammo, and you also get a diary entry. You get DIJ's diary entry, and post-text enlighten the people on what exactly that is, because, believe it or not, I've never read it. If you go alternate Claire, you can get gas rounds, yeah, and an F&aid spray. At least that's what I called it. It's a first aid spray. So, not bad for alternate Claire. And you'll see why that's really good for her when we actually play as her. With Chris, you also get the submachine guns, but you don't have to worry about it. You can completely skip over that. With Steve, you get the M100s, and those have infinite ammo. Not bad. Well appreciated, but you'll see Steve's loadout, and you'll know he needs all the help he can get. And Wesker, who's goddamn impossible, he gets a Magnum with 6 bullets. That's it. Now, if I wanted to say something that is also against first person, it's actually this. Every room you have to make sure every enemy is dead before you can advance to the new rooms, and in first person you actually can't see the entire room like you would be able to in a camera angle. You could still see everywhere, but the camera angles made it easier to see the enemies in question, especially if they were still alive and crawling on the floor. You also have to wait for death animations to happen, which, for zombies, can take forever. For bandersnatches, might take forever. For hunters, if they fall forward, you're losing seconds. Is this? Yep, it is. Alright, Claire's boss. The one she has to fight in the very last room. Nosferatu. Pretty much the exact same fight as Code Veronica X, except in my case, it's first person. And the one thing they did for battle mode, just to increase the odds in the game's favor, is every boss that you would normally fight has like 3 times the number of hit points. So Nosferatu should have died like a minute ago, but with all those extra hit points, he died. He died when he did. And after that, you're done. It takes a final tally of your time and gives you a grade, which... God, that sucks! Holy crap, I didn't think I did that bad. Claire is actually a really hard one to get an A rank on. You have to beat her battle mode under 7 minutes in order not to get a grade E. It is so mean. Hers is actually, in my opinion, one of the hardest to get an A rank on. But now, we get to play as alternate Claire. Instead of the bowgun, she gets all 3 of the grenade launcher rounds and an alternate costume. So even though the game didn't have alternate costumes, this is kind of a way of saying, well, here you go. You can have one now. Really, really good coverage with this Claire, because she also has the AK-47, which, if you don't want to use the grenade launcher rounds, you think they go too slow. The AK, really good substitute, but I would say just keep the grenade launcher, man. Use the flame rounds, use the acid rounds whenever you get to hunters or anything that's not a zombie. But she has probably the biggest advantage. And by the way, I am so glad you don't have to get an A rank as Claire to unlock alternate Claire. You just have to win. Oh, I hate that animation. It takes forever. Something else I want to touch on, and by the way, these are all pre-recorded, so if something doesn't seem right, then just know that this is all post. There are actually unlockables for getting good ranks in battle mode. Also, if you get a good rank in the regular game, I'll just talk about that here, you can unlock a rocket launcher for getting an A rank in the regular game, which, for me, is practically impossible, but for speedrunners, you've already gotten it. And for battle mode, if you get an A rank with everyone, you get a free linear launcher in your inventory starting out. I would not suggest using the linear launcher in every single room because it takes too long to load up and shoot. It does kill everything in practically one hit, but I think the only exception is bosses. But having that linear launcher definitely helps with said bosses. Because you could just walk into the room, hit them once or twice, and they're gone. And that would save on so much time because it's already in your inventory. The problem with that is, and it has to do with the characters and their times. Each character has a specific time that you need to get under in order to get a rank in the first place. That's not a grade E. So Claire, you have to beat battle mode in under 7 minutes. Seems pretty simple, but I got 6.5 in my playthrough there just for fun, and I got a D. So I would think probably about 5 minutes flat you would have to get in order to get an A rank. So that's pretty difficult. The Claire I'm playing with right now, you have to get it in under 10 minutes, and this is a lot easier than original Claire because you have all these grenade launcher rounds, things are dying in 1 to 2 hits, you don't even have to worry about it. The main thing that's actually going to trip you up is getting to the door. If you're playing as Steve, you have to win in under 15 minutes. Now, that seems like a long time, but Steve's loadout, we won't be playing as him because, frankly, I think he's kind of the throwaway character, and that's nothing against Steve as a character. I just don't think he got the best loadout. But in exchange for his kind of mediocre weaponry, they did give him a good weapon, and it's actually the Golden Lugers. Steve actually starts with his SMGs that he loves ever so much, and the Golden Lugers. Now, the SMGs are good on their own. They're both infinite weapons that he has in his inventory, and those will deal most of the killing. But the Golden Lugers, I never realized this because you never got to play as Steve with the Lugers, but they're actually really good. Consider them like an ultra-powerful handgun that you can fire twice in opposing directions because it acts like an SMG. So, not a bad weapon. I would suggest using the Golden Lugers against a boss. But other than that, that's kind of his only saving grace are those Lugers. Because if you go to the slot machine room, you get the M100, which is the burst fire that Claire got at the beginning of the game with infinite ammo. So kind of good, but not the best. Still though, those Lugers, pretty good. Now, going back to the times that you need to complete, Chris, you have to beat in under 8 minutes. And we are going to be doing a playthrough as Chris, or at least try to do one, you'll see what I mean. But his is probably the easiest to get an A rank with, and the fact that I unlocked Wesker is a testament to that. Chris, you have to beat battle mode in under 8 minutes. Now, that's really close to Claire's time, so why is it easier to finish with Chris than it is Claire? Because Chris has the friggin' advantage of having a magnum. One shot, all dead. Yeah, he's that kind of character, which is why, even though a lot of guides say he's hard mode, he's the easiest mode, the easiest way to get an A rank. Now, something else, and before we get to Wesker, because that's probably the funniest part, I think I'll actually save that because we are going to attempt a Wesker run. But the slot machine room. I should also mention that not only when you check the slot machine, you get your special weapons, and maybe I should splice something in. It's basically a stop and save room. As soon as you enter it, you have exited the original room you're in, and then as soon as you leave, you go to the next room in the cycle. But in there, you just get ammunition, healing items, and your special weapon inside the slot machine. So it's kind of a brief reprieve, but I choose not to use those because it's almost not worth it. In Wesker's playthrough, it is absolutely worth it. Do that or you're an idiot. If you actually make it that far. Wesker is not a fun run to do. But everyone else, their weapons are... You can avoid those. You don't even need them because the characters already have a good weapon set. We're actually coming up to... Ooh, wow. We're actually coming up to the end. And I do like the little addition of Claire having an alternate costume. I just don't know why she wasn't able to get this during the main game, as maybe, an unlockable for actually getting a rank. But we're actually coming up to her boss, and I like what they did with this, and it's actually the setup of battle mode that I really like what they did with the bosses for every character. By the way, I'm sure you saw the first aid spray in that room. Get it if you need help. Here you go. Claire's alternate boss is the Tyrant. And this is the one that you had to fight on the plane. Now, the reason I like the setup of battle mode as far as the bosses are concerned is because they give you a wide arena to fight in. Nosferatu, his platform is used for this fight and the Nosferatu fight, obviously. And the giving you a lot of room for bosses that didn't originally give you a lot of room, I'm very thankful for. Especially when it comes to this Tyrant and the fact that if you were playing on his normal battleground, you'd probably get hit out of a plane and immediately die. Which, actually, I don't know if you can immediately die. I would assume so, since it follows the same rules. And that's the easiest way to cheap out players, is just an instant death right at the final boss. God, that is mean. That's mean. But yes, very much appreciated for actually, giving us a platform to fight on. Otherwise, these fights would be grueling. Because just imagine having two... That was lucky. And I'm on danger, too. Yeah, we can keep going. But can you imagine trying to fight this on, the small platform on the first fight against Claire? And just thinking, wow, I'm going to die unless I kill him with, a million grenade rounds. Which seems to be happening because this guy is taking a lot of punishment. Almost died there. Switch to acid rounds. Hopefully this will kill this guy. Again, with the plane. Just imagine having to fight this thing on the plane and having to avoid just falling out the back. But after that, he's done. Get a nice little image here of Claire in front of a military base. And wow, rank B. So there's an example of getting a good grade. Because alternate Claire only needs you to have a time under 10 minutes in order to get a decent ranking. Now, Chris. We'll get to him in a sec, but yeah, these two have such interesting loadouts. Let's go ahead and play as Chris. And he has the advantage of having the Magnum. The Magnum, for pretty much every single enemy, except for bosses, one shot, dead. This is why I consider him easy, because if you shoot a zombie in the foot with a Magnum, it's dead. You shoot him in the ear, is dead. Take off one finger, all of a sudden, hemophiliac, and he automatically dies. That's how good Chris is in battle game, because he has the advantage of infinite Magnum. Now, if he had the linear launcher, that would be the absolute best time in existence. Chris's final boss. Well, get there when we get there. Just know that Chris is the easiest way to get an A rank. By the way, speaking of the linear launcher, if I could backtrack a bit, it is absolute BS that the Dreamcast version, and I can only say this based on what I've read, not what I've actually played, but the Dreamcast version of Code Veronica X actually starts out with a linear launcher with every character. That is a crime. That is a crime. Have you seen what your 5th character has as a loadout? That is so mean-spirited to not at least give him the linear launcher. I guess they want to give you an extra challenge. Those American people, they want their challenge. But wait, we got that version. Oh, never mind. It's mainly the PS2 and GameCube ports that they took that away. So, I guess if you manage to get a Dreamcast version, you have the easiest version to get a battle mode A rank with Wesker. But he's never easy to finish. Just take my word for it. Wow, he actually died in one hit. See, I love this advantage of Chris just being able to look in the direct, auto-aim onto an enemy, fire, dead. You just hear, heads popping. You hear hunters immediately dying. You hear Bandersnatches howling in pain and death. And just automatically dead. That was dumb. Chris, you are dumb. Why would you shoot a barrel at point-blank range? Well, I guess you could take it. You're a Redfield. You've dealt with worse. Another thing I don't really understand, and this has to do with Chris's loadout, he has infinite shotgun ammo, but not infinite shells in the shotgun. So I want to think that they could do ammunition infinitely, but then that doesn't explain the Magnum, which has infinite bullets inside it already. Maybe they're trying to, like, put realism into it. Like, no, a shotgun's got 7 shots and then he has to reload it. Or maybe that's just a handicap. Because the shotgun is pretty good, even though I don't like it. I'd still admit it's good. But you gave Chris the Magnum. There is no excuse to not use the Magnum unless you're trying to put, like, an alternate challenge on yourself. Just use the Magnum. It kills everything. It gets you a fast time. There's a few decisions that I would call into question, especially what the 5th character gets as a loadout. Again, I wouldn't go... Oh, wow, I have to actually wait for that zombie to die. That room, the silver door, I still would not suggest going there for anybody but Wesker. Just because it saves on time. And I will say, if you're hurting, go in there because you get healing items there. And I guess you can pick up the submachine guns, but I personally wouldn't use them because, you know, Magnum. And I love how I think you can actually get 2 for 1 with the Magnum. I think at this point I'm not even aiming. I think it's just like point, bang, gone. Just an entire room obliterated. And I think that actually helps with the animations too, where if you shoot a zombie's head off, it's just immediately dead. The game considers it gone, and then you can move on. Oh, we are getting close. That explosion should have taken him out. No. There's one crawling on the floor. I guess even with the third-person camera, I was able to see that before anything happened, but I still think third-person does better as far as enemies on the ground, and wow! We are already at the boss. We just need to finish this room, which is already dead because, you know, Magnum. And what does Chris get to fight as his boss? Alexia. He has to fight the entirety of Alexia. Not just this form, but also the fly form. Which seems pretty hard. And now that I think about it, I think I now know why people call this hard mode. Why Chris is considered the hard difficulty on battle mode. Even though he gets the Magnum, the boss is where you'll be hung up on it. Because you have to deal with the little guys in the ground, which there's the only use for the shotgun, in my opinion. You have to deal with the tentacles, which can take out the little guys, so you can kind of steer them in the direction of a tentacle, and the tentacle will take them out. But you have to deal with poison damage, you have to deal with the little guys on the ground who are constantly whipping you and hurting you, and you have to deal with the tentacles. But then after all that, after you've dealt enough damage, where all the bosses have 3 times as many hit points in battle mode, you also have to deal with Alexia as a fly. Should be here in a second. I'm about to die. I'm gonna die here in a second. I have no healing. Yep. So now you have to take Alexia on one-on-one while she's flying and you have no linear launcher. So essentially just move and shoot. That's all you have to do. But if you're unlucky, yeah, the ass is gonna hit you and yep, saw that coming. Oh, God, Chris, what a scream. So again, if you want a rank, you need to beat battle mode in under 8 minutes as Chris. Let me go over Steve real quick, just to go over what he has. There's his loadout. Not bad, but not really that good either. You have to beat battle mode as Steve under 15 minutes in order to get a rank. Again, he's not that good, and I won't be playing as him just because, you know, it's not that interesting. What's more interesting is this motherfucker right here. Albert Wesker. He has a knife and 3 fully healing items, including poison. This is bullshit! I actually labeled each difficulty. I was like, okay, Claire and alternate Claire, easy. Chris I would consider medium. Steve I would consider hard. And Wesker I would consider fucking impossible! And the hilarious thing about this is its ranking. Okay, so you have to deal in close quarters, kill zombies. This is the first room. And I'm going to say I'm going to have trouble with it. Because you have that long arc of a swing. Does not do well in close quarters and walls. This is not easy. And Wesker has nothing else. He just has his weapon, the knife. and that's it. I guess if you wanted some, like, pro strats, single out zombies and other enemies just to get rid of them, like the knife in Code Veronica X, not a bad weapon. Having to single out enemies, bad times all around. So that was just one room with 4 zombies. It's not going to go well from here. But let me get to the absolutely hilarious part. In order to get a ranking with Wesker, and this is a testament to how fucking bullshit this part is, pardon my French, but you have to beat battle mode with a knife only in under an hour to get a ranking. They give you that much time to get one ranking. And with all that time and all that patience, having to go through all that and not getting an A rank would be basically like, I'm done with this game forever. I'm going to go burn it. They give you that much time, but they do throw you a bone. In the slot machine room, Wesker gets that magnum with 6 shots. You save that for his final boss, first form of Alexia, the one that throws the fire. And look at that, there I go. So Wesker, not easy. Only for people who have more patience than me, and who are better with the knife than me. Oh, and I forgot to say, Steve's boss is the worm, the big worm. It gives you a big arena. It's fine. It's an easy fight, especially with his loadout. So, that's battle mode. I think I've covered everything. Covered the 3 unlockable characters. You originally start out with Claire and Chris, and then you can unlock the other 3. And we played a couple rounds of battle mode just to give you a taste. So, get better times than me, because I know you can. And that is 100% it with Code Veronica X. I have nothing else planned. So I guess, until the next Let's Play, thank you all for watching, and take it away, announcer guy.
Resident Evil.
See you guys next time.